Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
This is an issue that's not isolated to South Africa. It is a worldwide, a global phenomenon. Illegal immigrants trying to get into a country to better themselves, to better their lives of their families. Tell us about your organization and what role it plays in this phenomenon.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I don't think a lot of people are familiar with the work of IOM, so thank you for this opportunity to highlight some of the work that we're doing. IOM is an international organization, or intergovernmental, which means that it's been established by governments and that the governments are members of our organization. Globally, I think we have 158 countries that are members. South Africa is one of those countries. It also means that since the organization was established by governments, that we work through and with the governments in order to address the issues of migration. It's a type of assistance that we supply to governments, and that can take various forms. There are 5 main themes in the work that we're doing on migration management or assistance in migration. Socio-economic, so we help increase the conditions for the socio-economic conditions of migrants in the country, but also help maximize the socio-economic impact or optimize the socio-economic impact of the migrants' presence in a country. There's the first field. The second one, the humanitarian or human rights perspective and respect for international norms, to make sure that migrants are being treated in a humanitarian way, and that they can live their life in accordance with the international norms and standards should be expected.
If I may interject before
Sure.
you continue with the third, fourth and fifth point, just when it comes to matters of humanitarian assistance, once someone has come into a country legally or illegally, that's a talking point, especially for a developing country such as ours in South Africa.
Very much
Many
so.
people lamenting the fact that we're not against people coming into the country to seek better lives for themselves. However, they're putting an additional burden on the state. They're putting a burden on resources such as healthcare. Some even argue that they're taking jobs, etc. This does put governments at a precarious position where they have to fend for or make sure that their own citizens are taken care of, but also look after the rights of those who come into the country. Speak to us about the dichotomy there.
Well, we're obviously very much aware of the problems that the government faces when it comes to tending to the needs of its citizens, with an unemployment rate of, I think, 26% throughout the country. In some areas, up to almost 40%. It's very different for the government to defend having more people come into the country, and that people have the perception that migrants come in to take jobs. However, globally, and I think the case goes for South Africa as well, is that many migrants are actually not the ones that are taking the jobs. Migrants, in many cases, are entrepreneurs, are people that take care of themselves. If you look at the profile of a typical migrant, it's not someone who is content to sit under a tree and wait for things to get better. The mere fact that they have taken up all their belongings, that have taken up their lives, leave behind everything they know and go to a completely new surrounding, make new friends, often have to speak a new language. It's a different type of people. It is not your average person. Those are people that are used to taking care of themselves. So in many cases, these are not the people that leech off society. These are the people that create opportunities for themselves, and that make sure that their families are taken care of.
I'm sure you've had a moment or two to glance over the new immigration laws that South Africa has introduced. Judging by international standards and benchmarks, how are we faring when it comes to the way that we look after immigrants, or we handle the situation and documenting those who come into the country legally, keeping track of where they are, and also those who are deported? When it comes to this whole issue, how do we fare as South Africa? What are your opinions?
I think South Africa does very well. I arrived in the country just half a year ago. I'm relatively new in this surrounding, but I've been very impressed with particularly South Africa's constitution when it comes to protection of all the people in the country, whether they be South African citizens or whether they be migrants. And I think the migration legislation in general reflects that attitude as well, the inclusiveness of the constitution. Now, obviously, South Africa faces some issues when it comes to migration. The refugee system or the asylum system is overburdened by applications that are, frankly speaking, not genuine. The asylum system is being abused by people that seek to enter the country. One of the things that we advocate is, rather than deter and rather than close the borders, is to offer legal alternatives for people to migrate. So rather than migrants will come, no matter what. I mean, look at the situation in Europe. Europe has closed its borders, and yet on an annual basis, 100,000 people come to Italy. 100,000 migrants come into Italy. The barriers are enormous.
Some even
just last
die
year,
and drown.
Last year, more than 4,000.
Last year,
more than 4,000 people died in the Mediterranean. So the barriers for entering into Italy, into Europe, are tremendous. And yet people come. Yet people come on an annual basis in droves, in huge numbers. I don't think that South Africa can effectively close its borders for migrants. And I think what South Africa would do best, and this is something that we advocate for on a global level, is create legal alternatives for irregular migration. Come up with labor schemes that allow people on a temporary basis to come into the country. And I think these the temporary permits that the Department of Home Affairs has created for Zimbabweans, I think is a very good start. And my understanding is that this will be done for other SADC member state residents as well.
Richard, we're going to have to leave it there. This is a subject we're going to revisit, I think, throughout the course of 2015. It's something that I said as in the opening is not isolated to South Africa. It's a worldwide phenomenon, and we definitely will need your expertise once again. Thank you so very much for having joined us. We'll have to leave this conversation for another time, but we'll definitely revisit it. Richard Ots, the Chief of Mission of International Organization for Migration, and as he said, it's not well known in these quarters, but it will be soon as he continues to unpack these very pressing issues with us at a later stage. Right now, though, we go to Valen. She's standing by with the latest sport.